season-defining game clearly coming up against your old head coach who went out on less than happy means. The return of Ross this week, conjunction all together. Miami Dolphins versus the Pittsburgh Steelers on a primetime game. It does not get much more dramatic, exciting, and clashing than this. This is going to be such an amazing game, and I'm not telling you which way it's going to go, but I want to look at the matchups. I think Steelers are getting a little bit of a bad rap as not being a good team just because their record, and, Bill Parcells, your record is who you say you are. I got that. But this is over a short period of games, and I think the Pittsburgh is trending up. Dolphins skyrocketing to the top, then a heavy drop. Even record right now. But the return of Terron, the return of Tua, puts all this together for could be a classic matchup. Looking forward to it. So today, I'm going to go over looking at the Steelers side of the defense versus our offense and the matchups and the possibilities, and then our offense versus their defense. I think I said it right. I don't know. You know what I'm saying. Both sides of the ball for both teams. Going to match them up. Got some graphics, handy-dandy graphics. Going to use, I had to cut a few corners and not do my own original graphics. I took the graphics of PFF's grades and matchups and then edited them with my little scroll and little doodads to try to jazz it up. I'm not a huge, I like PFF a lot for many reasons. Their overall grades is what I least like about them. I like their position grade, their skill set grades. I like their statistics. Overall grade, I'm going to put it in there. And I don't agree 100%, but they are quality reference points. You can move it a little bit this way. You can move it a little bit that way. But it's a good reference point to look. It's going to have the number and the color coding. And I pretty much agree with the generalness of their overall grades. So I'm going to dig into that. First, I want to say thank you for stopping by. I appreciate everything, the likes, the subscribes, the comments, especially the comments. Without you guys, the show isn't going down. And without my sponsors, it isn't going down either. So I'm going to give them a shout out as well. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, so Dolphins defense has played tremendously. There's no way, it's not what we'd hoped as far as the turnovers and third down defense, but Byron Jones isn't still here. X has been injured, and Kohu stepped in, and he's doing really good, but he missed the game because of an oblique, and now Needham's done for the season. So the secondary has been compromised, and that does alter the way this defense can do things. But even with this hobbling of the secondary, this defense has played so well. And the primary reason, for the most part, that we won, except for the Ravens game. So, Steelers offense, it's not exactly what you remember them. This is not a run-heavy team. They got Najee Harris, who's a really good back if he'd ever get some blocking. But they're winning through the passing game with the run game kind of to keep them honest. So it's not like they've won a lot. But all these games, except for the Bills game, have been very close, and they've been in it, and they've passed. And the defense has played their part. So I'm expecting it to be kind of like what we've seen so far. I talked about the last podcast, how our offense needs to run the football. All the games have been tight. All the offenses, except for one, have been able to generate quality running attack. And Tampa, they didn't, and they lost a close one. And the Jets, they almost had a quality run game, but it was semi-respectable, and then they lost a close one. So we're going to have to run the football. They're not going to be able to run the football. Our defense, if you look at our D-line, Ingram, Phillips, Sela, Agba, Wilkins. Agba might not be in. He's got a bad back, so he might not make it this game. Wilkins got a bum hand. Sela's got a bum hand, but I expect both of them to play. But no matter what, we add in Van Ginkel and in Davis, and you can see them up here. I'll get to the color coding in a second. They're going to stop the run. We jam the line of scrimmage, and that alone puts pressure on offensive lines to run block and to pass protect. And if you look at the Steelers' offensive line, Moore Jr., he's a quality pass blocker and a poor run blocker. Dotson's kind of poor on both. Cole, he's solid on both. Daniels, poor run blocker, very good pass blocker. And then Okafor, he's kind of good at both. This offensive line's going to test our pass rush. They're going to be able to handle a lot of the stuff we send at them because there is a bunch of quality pass blockers that we really didn't see. Vikings, okay, but this is a better pass blocking line. I think they're going to be more patient than the Vikings as far as running the football a little bit more, even though they're not going to have success. And you can see Johnson and Pickens and Claypool. These guys are good receivers. And without Needham, still a banged-up Howard, no matter what you say. You got Crossan, who's terrible at coverage. Rowe, who's been terrible at coverage this year. Howard had some good plays, but he's in the low 50s here with that, I guess, that like orange-yellow look. And he has struggled. He's had some good plays. He had a very good play on the ball and a comeback to break it up. But he's going to have some tough times. And Ignobbany, Noah, I don't even say his right. He had 2 plays this season, and now to juice them up, they were nice plays, but they were vertical routes. He's really good. That's his strongest, it's really good, but that's his strongest asset is these vertical routes. It's the cuts where he has problems. And if he can show this week, because he's going to play, he's going to play a lot. And if he can rise, man, the turn on Noah is going to be fantastic. But you're going to have to watch him on his zone reads and when he comes out of breaks, when they do those outs and the posts, his breaks, okay? And if he nails that, whoa, this could be a major turnaround, a big feather in Greer's cap. But if he doesn't, it's going to be a bad, bad look. And Kohu, he's got the oblique. He's going to play. He's going to be good. But there's going to be stress on this secondary. There's going to be stress on this defensive line to get the consistent pass rush early and as easily as they've done in the past. I think. We'll see. Now, Holland, you can see he's had a really good season. Not as good as last year. I think it's a little bit of a sophomore slump, and I think most of that has to do with we're not able to play that high man coverage where he can roam and make things happen. He does, but it's not to the same degree as last year. Jones, you can see, RD, run defense, excellent. Pass coverage, there's issues there. And if you tie that into Rowe, it's a little bit of concern. Now, Baker's having one of his best seasons ever. It's not great. He's actually been able to hold up on the run, the blockers getting to him and not collapsing. He's actually a few times really impressed me, especially in the Bills game. And his coverage, as you can see here, is the reason it's 68, which is the same as his coverage. They add coverage grade very high, and that's why his overall is the way it is. But that's going to play big, especially with Freemuth, the tight end, 6th in the league. And this guy is a big dude who can kind of do both. And Baker's going to play a big deal because Rowe is not holding up his end of the bargain. Now, Roberts, he is really good at shooting and run stopping, and that's it. Duke, I don't have here. He's solid across the board. Tyndale, I don't expect him to see many snaps. Now, Van Ginkel, you can see he's weak in coverage. His overall is pretty good, but he is excellent in run defense. And Ingram, his coverage is weak as well. He's not asked to cover all that much, but he's been good at the pass rush, pretty good at the run defense, but it's kind of been coming down a little bit. I think his age is starting to catch up, and he's going to need some backup help. Phillips, you can see here inside, this has got the nickel. Usually he's going to play on the outside. We're going to have to see him run, defend. There has been some rise in it, but inside, when he comes inside in his nickel look, that's where he's been getting a lot of his pressure. It's going to be interesting to see him, how he plays out, because he's going to have to come in there with Ingram and Van Ginkel to really help this situation. Trey Flowers is now gone, and he had a lot of pressure for us. He was playing like a stud. So there's going to be some interesting interplay in here. Sealer, he's a run stopper, not a great pass rusher. He's been better. This season's been, but I think it's the hand. That hand was really bad for a while. Then you add Wilkins. And now Davis, he's got that mustard yellow. I did in the last one. If you watch, he injured his knee last year and played through but struggled. He injured it again in preseason. And he had one good game, and then it's been kind of downhill. He's been buckling. That left leg has been buckling a lot. You watch the film, and he's been buckling a lot, and it's been hurting his run defense. He does pop. He's not terrible, but he's not the guy from 2020, which is a shame. And I did a thing on it the last time. It'll be interesting to see. So we don't know who's going to play quarterback, and it will be interesting to see how that plays out. Both are somewhat mobile, somewhat decent arms. We'll see how that plays out. But I expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to really start attacking our secondary, and it's going to demand our defense to get that pressure. Will they? Will they? If they don't, I'm a little nervous. This could turn into a game where the offense is going to have to win it. And Tua just came back, and Terron might not be 100%, but we'll get more into that. So that's how I'm seeing it play. Freemuth is obviously a big deal. Johnson and Pickens against Howard, Kohu, and Noah. We'll see how this plays out. Now, on offense, my man Terron coming back to support Tua and to give that extra half second so Hill and Waddle can break open. It don't get bigger than that. Now, will he actually play? Will Terron be able to play the whole game? Will he be above 80%? I don't know. For me, Shell has clearly got to play over Little. Little's terrible. I mean, terrible. Shell, if you watch the last one, people said he only had 2 pressures last week, but if you look at who he went against, it was more of a run-stopping DN with not really many pass rush moves, kind of slowish. And so all that pass rushing ability was on the left side. It'll be interesting to see how he plays, but he's way better than Little. Are you kidding me? And Shell can run block. He's got a pretty good run block rate. It's like 78. It's really good. And you can see it. He knows. I think he should, when Jackson comes back, he should slide into left guard and get Eichenberg out of there. But right now, you can see Williams is having a solid season. Pass rush grade is really what's hurting him the most. He's still figuring it out. Hunt is doing well. Struggled a little bit with all this flux at the offensive line position, but Armstead will block alone. He'll allow Eichenberg to get help from Connor, Hunt to block alone, and that's going to put a little pressure on Shell. They might help Shell out and let Eichenberg block alone, and that's going to be a major problem because stunts is where Eichenberg struggles the most of his many struggles, run blocking and handling stunts. And what the problem is, he doesn't have strength. So they run an inside move at him, and he gives ground. And that space he creates opens up a distance between the center and him, and that's when they get the wraparound, the stunt to go behind him. And so even though Terron is there, Eichenberg's giving of ground and biting hard to the inside move and opening that wedge inside is my concern. They're definitely going to attack there. And you can see it possibly on the other side too, because Shell does struggle with speed moves, and there's no Watt. That's great. He struggles with speed moves, spins, and double moves because he doesn't have the agility. That's why, again, in the guard position, the space gets constrained, and he will be way, way better than Eichenberg. But I do like it because if Eichenberg can raise his game just a little bit and not bite so hard, understand that Terron is going to be able to have a wide range of his protections. He's going to be able to bite to the left, and if the guy does the inside stunt, come back and put that hand out there to stem that inside rush. He's got to watch that stunt. He's been falling for stunts and twists like nobody's business since he's come into the league, and it's got to stop this game. Because you cannot, this game's about protection. You protect Tua, you give him the time, Hill and Waddle are going to get open. Now, it's not going to be as easy as you think. Sutton was out a couple of games, and he's back, and he's a quality player inside. He's going to play something. You got Pierre, who's pretty good. Wallace ain't so hot. Mullet isn't so hot. But Minka's coming back, and Edmonds over the top. This is going to allow them to play certain kind of coverages to basically eliminate the deep, put a cap on that high mid-range pass, shut down the short, and force Tua into mid to late clock. And that's where the pass rush can get to him. And this is why we have to run. We have to suck those linebackers up. We have to get play calls that are designed to stop the pass to open up those big plays. Now, Hill and Waddle, they could just break it open and make big plays and put a lot of points on. But we've been putting a lot of pass yards on, but not enough points and not consistently doing it so we can blow the doors open. That's what it's going to come down to. Jack, he came to the Steelers to play with Flores, and he's playing really well, and he's a really good cover guy. You can see 71.4 cover grade. Bush, he's been doing the blitzes. They've been working on him much like Baker, finding what he's good at and getting him to blitz. He's really not great at everything else. His pass rush grade, you can see here, is 71.3. Highsmith, Hayward, as that nose tackle, is going to put great stress on Connor and Eichenberg. And Gunjabi, he's pretty solid. And you got Reed on the outside. He's playing that where Watt was, and he's okay. He's okay. But Highsmith, Hayward, Gunjabi, and Bush in the blitzing is going to put pressure on offense. They're going to bring 4, occasionally 5, lots of twists, lots of stunts. You could see the influence of Flores coming on. They bring the guys to the line of scrimmage and drop it different. It's going to be tough, but it's going to have to come with this offensive line picking things up, the right calls before the snap, a run game to force things in. And, look, I talked about the personnel groupings. We've been doing a lot of bunches, a lot of semi-bunches, and a lot of 12 personnel. And we do that to protect. With Terron there, hopefully we can get some space. Because when we get that tight bunch look with this kind of defense, with Flores and the way the Steelers like to run their defense, there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of fence, like one guy coming and looking like he's going to blitz and he's dropping, and it's going to slow down Tua a little bit. And these guys are all going to be line to scrimmage, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on this offensive line that's been struggling to pick up these blitzes. If we can spread it out, pick up these blitzes enough, and slow it down with the run game for Tua to stay healthy, not have high pressure, and to have that time in the mid-clock, those mid-posts at 15 to 18, those outs, this is where we could blow the doors off. But Minka and Edmonds are good. Jack is good. Sutton and Pierre are respectable to good. This is not going to be as easy as it looks. If we're one-dimensional, it's going to be tough. This is about running the football this week, unless somehow Waddle and Hill just blow the doors off. I don't believe that. And maybe, but is it going to be consistent enough? This is a good team. Tomlin's a great coach, man. Model of consistency. This organization is the model of consistency. You might not like Flores, but this guy knows defense. We need to have low penalties, smart play, balanced attacks, and we've got to have our special teams shine. We're home. We need to take this, but I don't see it being as easy as some people think. Terron makes a big difference. Tua gets the chance. I like Flores. I always have. But Tua is still a Dolphin. Flores isn't. I want to see Tua shine. The optics, if he can win this game, to take this game, whatever the reality is behind Flores, is such a big boost to the mojo of Tua and this team. To go 4-3 instead of 3-4 at this critical juncture is as big as it gets. We're going to need to run that football and play our best. This team is no pushover. Said at the beginning of the year, this is no pushover. They're not have the greatest record, but everything's been close except for one game at home against the Bills, and they just lit it up like a Christmas tree. They can do that. Everybody else, including Tampa with Brady, was a tight game. I expect that to be this one. It's going to come down to clutch, I think. Anyway, as Kurt saying, thanks for staying to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to do my own handy-dandy graphics to get away from PFF, but this is a good general thing. Big game, guys. We need this one. This is going to really turn the tides one way or the other. Let's hold tight, see how it goes. Tua is back. Terron's back. My man Terron, to keep him healthy. This is as good as it gets for football lovers and Fin fans. We have control of our destiny. Kurt saying thanks for staying to the end. Go Fins. Go Fins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with AceBread.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.